There are two obstacles really standing in the way, at least two major obstacles: border security and the budget. And joining us now to talk about that and more is Congressman Michael Waltz. Always good to have him. We got him in studio today. Good morning. Good to see you.
Hey, good to see you.
Let's start with the shutdown. It's not as simple as do you support Ukraine? Do you support money here? A lot goes into it. The border goes into it. What are the two biggest issues for you?
Yeah, the biggest issues right now are the border and cutting spending. Spending has been out of control. It has driven inflation. We literally have trillions kind of backlogged through these government agencies. We have to start paring that back. At some point, everything that we hold dear in terms of government services is going to go upside down, and there's some projections that say that could be as soon as the next 3 or 4 years. So we have to cut, and we have to secure our border. Look, we can't have situations like we just had with the nursing student up in Georgia who was brutally murdered. We're hearing now of a 2-year-old outside of Washington, D.C., killed in a gun battle with a Venezuelan criminal who had a prior criminal record and was released by local police and not to ICE because it was a sanctuary situation. So, and then I'll just tell you, Ryan, the FBI director is ringing the alarm bells about the number of people on the terrorist watch list that have poured over our southern border, over 300 now, compared to the last administration when it was 11. So we've got to get it under control, and we have to use whatever leverage we can to get this administration to close our border.
And we've been hearing the warning sounds for a while now, and it seems like it's becoming more bipartisan, but the problem is the two sides still see securing that border. Can it be done just with Congress? Does it take the president as well? What can be done next month? How quickly can this change?
The president could do it yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, he undid everything President Trump did in terms of securing the border, remain in Mexico. The Mexicans had their army on their southern border and a number of other policies. Look, the deal that just kind of fell apart in Congress was about immigration reform. We do have to get to that at some point. But right now, there are very clear policies that worked just a few years ago. President Biden could do that now, today, if he wanted to.
The fact that he's going to the border, this would be the second time his administration.
Finally.
Does it show that they've seen the numbers, they've seen the anger really on both sides?
Well, you're hearing this from inner city blue mayors in terms of community centers that have migrants in them, that kids should be in, schools where kids aren't allowed to go to school because migrants are in them. Heck, I just walked through Chicago O'Hare, and they had whole terminals full of migrants. So mayors are ringing the alarm bells and saying enough. Some of the suburbs now where it's spilling over. We have both Arizona and Texas with their National Guard fully deployed to the border. When enough is enough. We know what policies work. Let's do it, and then we can start talking these more complex reforms.
How active is Florida right now in Texas, and how concerned are you even with the drug situation in Central Florida as a result of the border?
Well, the governor has sent Highway Patrol, has sent some of our National Guard, so have other states to try to help out. But this isn't as much a manpower problem. I mean, the bad policies are making it that way, is just put those policies back in place. And then here, a sad statistic, Daytona is #1 in the state in terms of per capita fentanyl deaths. It is, you talk to the sheriffs, you talk to the police chiefs, it's heartbreaking, it's preventable. We have measures that we've passed in the House. We encourage the Senate to take it up, to put sanctions on some of these Chinese precursor companies that are pumping these fentanyl precursors and killing over 100,000 Americans a year. I mean, that's that's almost double what we lost in Vietnam.
I want to shift gears, talk about the presidential race real quick. You were a firm supporter of the president early on, former President Trump. He's cruising through right now. Is the race over? How important is it for him to get everybody together? And what do you see on the Democratic side?
Yeah, well, the primary's over. I mean, all but over. We just need one person to realize that. And this is, I think this is going to be a real contrast campaign. This is going to be about security and insecurity. This is going to be about strength versus weakness that we're seeing on the world stage right now. But it is a very clear contrast, whether it was the economy, the border, crime, or leadership around the world. Heck, President Trump is the only modern president that left the Middle East better than when he found it. ISIS was destroyed, Iran was broke, and we had the Abraham Accords coming out. So I think people are looking back and thinking, how their lives were just a few years ago compared to how they are today. And it is, I just think it's going to be a very, very clear choice. And on the Democrat side, President Biden has a real problem on his left, especially in Michigan. When you have that many people coming out to then refuse to vote for him as a protest vote because of Israel and their, frankly, I think pro-Hamas views, but he has a political problem now that's only going to grow.
It is going to be an interesting 8 months. Congressman, great to have you in studio with us today.
Good to be with you.
I know you're getting back to D.C.
Yes, sir.
Let's go back to Dana.